really in Savannah. And I was talking about this with another Facebook follower that I was getting in contact with probably like a few months ago, and he was really interested in like where all the gangs were really located. And at the time, I really couldn't give him an answer, for like where the gangs were, besides the Bloods. But I'm gonna get in that in a second. Also, when I do want to clear up though, is the whole gang word. A lot of times media outlets like WTOC, WSAV, WJCL, Fox 28, they use that word gang a lot because how Savannah media outlets view it and also police view it, they view it as if you're in a group with 3 or more people, they might consider that a gang, when realistically y'all might not even be a gang. Y'all might just be from the same area and know the same people, but y'all might not actually be in the gang. Now, sometimes they do actually get it right. Sometimes they do point out the people who are in the gang, but there are plenty of situations where they said the gang word in a shooting or in somebody's death, and they got it wrong. One of the latest homicides that I covered, I think somebody had got mad because on Facebook they posted it as a gang related shooting, and basically the family was saying, well, he wasn't in the gang or nothing like that. So sometimes it gets complicated, it gets fuzzy about the whole gang word because big media outlets, they throw that word out, like word gang out like that, and me myself included, I throw that word out like that even when I shouldn't. But sometimes those sources might be right, sometimes it might be wrong, but that's okay. But however, I want to talk about the gangs that are in Savannah, and probably the gangs that you probably should avoid the most. Now, the number one gang that really has been flourishing in Savannah, really there's 2 top gangs in Savannah, but I would say one of those is the GDs. The GDs, they call themselves 600, and I was really doing a lot of research, since I woke up until this point about like where are these guys like specifically located at. And I seen a few locations, but it's like, I seen locations on the east side, and I seen, some guys that were on the west side doing their thing. So I don't know if it's just like a city thing, what I'm saying? If guys just on the east and west doing it, but I mean, that's the only gang that I really don't know, like where are they like originally, like their original headquarters, I guess you can say, because they don't throw that out there like that. The other gangs in Savannah, they have no problem throwing their locations out like that. But as far as the GDs, I didn't really see too much of that, pointing out locations, because the GDs in Savannah, there's some of them that's trying to get on with the music group called BME. And, they got some alright rappers. I might cover them a little bit later on in a music review, but it's just, you got them that's out there, and like I said, I don't know specifically where they're at, and I'm not lying about that. I've seen a few locations on the east and west that they were, doing some things. So, you got them, and also you have really the second gang that's close to them is the Bloods. And I mean, we've talked about the Bloods before, where they were responsible for killing Dominique Powell in Tatumville. Tatumville is actually not far away from where I stay. For me to drive there, it only takes about 3 minutes, not even that. My church that I go to is like right outside of Tatumville. But the Bloods really are on the east side, and that's why I didn't really give them like the top rank, because the Bloods, from my understanding, they all come from the east side. And I know that because there's an artist that I covered, which I'm not going to say his name, but there's an artist that I covered, and I know for a fact that he's a Blood, and he's from the east side. The Bloods are a reckless gang. They was responsible for the murder of Dominique Powell. They got the big headline case that's going on right now with if they're going to give them the death penalty, which I don't know if that's going to really happen. But the Bloods are really making some noise in Savannah. You know, I think they did that robbery out there in Port Wentworth of that lady. I think she had like $40,000 worth of jewelry. One of the blood members were responsible for that lick. And also, you know, these are not really gangs. The other people that I'm going to name or groups that I'm going to name, because like I said about the whole gang thing, you know, sometimes they're not really gangs. Sometimes it's just a neighborhood thing. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys it's just neighborhood associated, not like gang. And when I say gang, I mean something that's like really orchestrated. You know, you have some type of boss, some type of, you know, not only some type of membership, but you have some type of structure towards it. You know, and some of these neighborhoods don't really have structure like that. TVT, Tatumville, from my standpoint, they had plenty of structure. You know, a lot of the guys that were down with TVT, they're like locked up doing federal time. And the interesting thing about TVT, from what I understood, was HellHole and TVT used to fuck with each other, and HellHole is off of 54th and Montgomery. You know, that's where they originally started off at, HellHole, and you know, basically they're blocks away from each other, HellHole and Tatumville. So really, at one point they used to really rock with each other like that, but I guess the situation really got you know, blurred when that shooting happened at the fairgrounds a few years back, because it was members of TVT and HellHole. I believe they were shooting back at each other, or they were shooting at somebody. I'm not so sure about the whole situation, but those groups were responsible for that shooting out there at the fairgrounds. So ever since then, I know the relationship hasn't really been fair between those two. And you know, like I said, they're blocks away from each other, but they're two separate groups. And then you got some other neighborhoods, like, well, really projects like Yamacraw. You know, that's not a gang out there. You know, you got some people that's doing their thing out there in Yamacraw, but I wouldn't call them a gang. You know, they might just be a clique. And another project on the west side, Kayton Homes and Frazier Homes, they right next to each other. And for what I seen in the video that I covered about a recent artist, Frazier Homes and Kayton Homes are well together. You know, they're joined, you know, basically. And also another, it's not a neighborhood, but I mean, what you gotta understand about Savannah is that you got some places that they rep their gang, sometimes they might rep their neighborhood, or sometimes it might just be a street thing. And you got Waters Avenue. Waters Avenue is on the east side. You know, Waters Avenue is a long ass street, really, on the east side, because it goes from all the way to Montgomery Crossroads, all the way to downtown off Bay Street. So you got them out there. You got G Street, Gwinnett Street. I've been told that at one point their name was the Felix Scott Organization. And if you remember that name, I talked about Felix Scott when I done the part 2 about camouflage. And no, I guess that's just another name that they were once associated with. But Felix Scott was from G Street. That's Gwinnett Street. You know, Gwinnett Street goes from the west to the east. You know, it goes up and down. So, you know, about like the specific locations of where these groups or gangs are located at, you know, I can't really say, not to, you know, protect people's information, but I just really don't know like where these guys like really hanging out like that, because, you know, I stay in my area and I just do my own thing. And also there's another group, actually a neighborhood, Carver Village. People out there, they repping VBS. They call themselves Villa Boy Soldiers. I talked about that when I talked about the murder of that 16-year-old boy that died recently this year in Carver Village off of Carter Street. That was like right around the block where Javante Reed got killed. And those two guys that got killed in Carver Village, they were part of VBS. And, I can really post people's HTML addresses, if you want to really do the research about it, but I don't want to do that. But those two people, actually, the 16-year-old boy, I believe his name is Kevin Jackson, he got killed by a Crip. And Javante Reed, he got killed by the GD, Craig Wesson. I talked about that in another video. If you haven't checked that out, I'll try to tag it in this video. So I believe it's some conflict with the GDs and the people out there off of Carver Village. I'm not so sure where that whole situation started from, but I just know it's not going to really end too well. And also, this goes a little bit out of the city, but Garden City, I believe they have their little thing out there. And also, people out there in Hudson Hill, I know they clicked up. I know it's not a gang or nothing like that, but there are groups of people out there that's willing to defend their own people out there. I'll just say it like that. But just something that I want to end up on is that when I talk about the gangs, man, these gangs could be doing something way different, And when you think about the whole gang structure and how gangs first started in America, it was started by Europeans, Italians, when they first came here off boats to go to New York. They had to do that to be structured. Now it's like people that's born in Savannah, like the gang lifestyle is a choice. You choose to do this now. Some people, way back then, they had to be a part of it. Some people actually grew up in this. But the thing about the gang members is a lot of the homes that they come from, they don't get any love from their parents. I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen plenty of parents, and I live in a predominantly black neighborhood. That's the thing about Savannah. Wherever you go in Savannah, mainly you're going to be in a predominantly black neighborhood. So, and I see a lot of parents that just talk to their kids like shit, man. And I'm sorry for my language, but that's the only word I can say. Like, they just talk to them like they're nothing. They cuss at their children at a young age. So they already know how to cuss before they're 10, And a lot of it has to do with the blame on the parents, and a lot of it has to do with blame of influence of other kids. A lot of the shootings that happened earlier in this year, a lot of those victims that were victims of gunshot wounds were teenage kids, 15, 16, 17, 18. A lot of them are like that. Some of those kids are influenced by other kids because that's what they see. That's who they be around on a daily basis. If you with somebody on a daily basis and they act like this, eventually how they act will rub off on you as well. And I've said this before in another video. Well, what could stop people from joining these gangs, or not necessarily gangs, or just be how to stop people from joining these groups that obviously mean no good to them. Obviously, you got to get these people enrolled in some type of after-school program because, it starts at an early age. People don't turn 21 and decide they want to be in a gang or do the street life. No, it starts at an early age. So you got to get some after-school programs, some mentorships. You could even just get somebody just to talk to these guys, man. Just somebody that these people look up to. And not only that, but you gotta give them a way that they can change. Now, a lot of the times, I ain't gonna lie to you, one person said, well, if you give these guys a good job, these guys won't do this. Man, let me tell you this. There's some people who have great jobs that are in these situations. Like, man, there's some people down there that are in gangs that I talked about in this video that work down at the Georgia Port Authority. And if you know anything about the Georgia ports, man, that's one of the best jobs in Savannah. Next to being a doctor or a lawyer, because you're making crazy money. There's a lot of those people, and there's people that work good jobs like lawn care services. There's people that own their own businesses, but some people are doing their thing in the right way. There's some people that's really, they've been associated with the gang. Now they want to do their own thing, like the GDs out there. They want to do the whole music thing, and I salute that. I'm not mad at that, because you want to do something else. You want to take what you've done in the streets and apply it to other stuff. You don't want to do that anymore, and I respect that. But a lot of these people out here, they don't have no other outlet to do so they keep doing what they're doing, and they keep getting stuck in the streets. And when they get shot down over and over again, this is what happens in Savannah. This is what really happens. And a lot of the conflicts, a lot of the group and gang conflicts in Savannah really are petty. It starts with petty robberies. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about people that's not even getting robbed over $100. So you got some people that's robbing people over $50, $60. People robbing each other over eighths and quarters. And this is how the whole cycle keeps going and going. So, like I said, you just gotta really watch yourself out there in Savannah, and watch how you move. Because I like to do a video and say, damn, you know what, these blood members just bought a convenience store and they making money over here. I love to do a video, say, damn, you know what, those GDs just got a clothing store in the mall, man. They making so much business, man. They shutting everybody else down, man. They making so much money. I love to do a video about, man, these guys over here on the west side, man, they've just gave back 100 book bags to the community before the school semester started. But you don't hear that. Only thing that you hear with these gangs are about shootouts, drug busts, and homicides. I mean, come on, man. Like, as a whole, even if you're with a gang, I mean, I don't see no point of it, because if I'm in a group, I want to be a better person. I don't want to be, associated with people who don't care about me if I'm dead or in jail, because ultimately that's where you're going to lead up to. And when you're in jail, man, your homies do not think about you. They might think about you for the first 2 months, and, man, it's over with. So, like I said, man, you gotta really watch who you really associate with, and just, you gotta be in a great mindset. There's plenty of people who are celebrities that were in gangs, and now they're doing better things in life. You can always transition. But that's all for right now. It's Pacman Jones with Savannah Seaport News, and stay blessed, Seaport.